It's your boy Taco Phil here. I wanted to answer an interesting comment or a question that was posed. Or I don't want to say answered. I wanted to give my opinion on an interesting question that was posed, or an interesting comment, I should say. So someone had made a comment saying that apparently someone had applied to work for Greyhound, and they weren't accepted, and they had left a comment saying that the reason that they weren't accepted was because they were white. So obviously, I guess this begs the question: uh, do only minorities or do only black people work at Greyhound? Because following that comment, I guess someone had said that they had noticed that there are very few uh, Caucasian. Nobody's white. They're Caucasian descent, whatever, Aryan descent. There are very few Caucasian people who work for Greyhound. Is this like a normal thing? So, personally, again, in my opinion, obviously company policy, they don't discriminate. They don't care what race you are. They don't care what religion. They don't care what sexuality you are. You know, they don't care what you identify as. As long as you can safely drive and you can follow rules and regulations of the road and safely move that bus and have good customer service, you're good. They don't care. Now, personally, I have come across all races and creeds. I've come across a transgender driver. I've come across gay and lesbian drivers. I've come across, Asian, Hispanic, plenty of black, plenty of white, especially, yeah, out there on the road. I've come across plenty of them, One, I just met a cool new guy who's white guy from Tennessee, vet. He's just recently transferred to Los Angeles, brought his family out here, So we definitely have plenty of white drivers that I have noticed, in my opinion. But if I were to crunch the numbers, I would say that maybe about, from what I've noticed on the West Coast, driving between, San Diego, San Francisco, as far as Denver, and as far as like El Paso, for me personally, I have noticed maybe about the farther you got west, the larger the number of African American drivers. I would probably put the number at maybe like around 60%. Yeah, probably about 60%. And then I'd say the next biggest number would have to be actually Hispanic. Yeah, I've come across a good number of Hispanic drivers, especially in the Southwest. Um, and then as you started getting into obviously the more rural areas, and you start heading more towards Fresno, I've met a good number of Caucasian drivers out of Fresno. I've met plenty of Caucasian drivers, obviously out of Denver, a good number out of Vegas, good number out of Phoenix. Um, yeah, a good number out, plenty in Texas that I've come across. So I wouldn't say that it is a black exclusive uh, job. Obviously, it's not. I'm sure there's more to it. If he's making these kind of comments, it's most likely he had bad customer service skills. Something irked the hiring manager about him, or maybe something else was going on about it. Obviously, these kind of jobs, it's that I like to call it like the DMV mentality. A lot of people are like, why would anybody want to work for the DMV? Why is it that there's so many black people who work for the DMV? I think what it is it's one of those jobs that you can get into it with a lot of the basic education. A lot of people just have the high school diploma or maybe a little bit of college, and then you can easily get some sort of certification to work there. Like for us, it's Class B. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It doesn't take a ton of hours to get. And you could make a very sustainable wage. Depending on where you're living, you can afford a house on Greyhound pay. You totally can. You know, it's hard in Los Angeles because Los Angeles is extremely expensive. But if you lived in a place like even, if you tried to make your way to Inland Empire, you might be able to find some places in Inland Empire still in the $200,000 range. You could afford a $200,000 house. Me personally, right now, me and my girl, we have a condo here in Los Angeles that she got a long time ago, so we're not paying a ridiculous amount. But I personally am trying to we're trying to buy a triplex back down in Louisiana, and you can get a triplex down in Louisiana for probably like about less than 200,000. So I can afford that. So you get a lot of people who are in that mentality that they'll work those jobs that may not be as desirable, but yet still pay a good amount. Me personally, working for Greyhound was like a dream of mine, because I took Greyhound a lot when I was a kid. I get a lot of people who I've come across where they're just like, dude, Greyhound still exists. Haven't seen a Greyhound or been on a Greyhound in forever. And I'm like, yeah, Greyhound is still a big, thriving company, and they still pay, Hopefully, with companies like Walmart starting to pay their drivers more, and companies realizing that it's getting harder and harder to keep their people because there's just so many other jobs out there that pay well. Your average bus driver, is making $15 to $17 an hour, and cities are starting to step up. Like a lot of like Santa Monica has had a hard time finding drivers, and they raised their wage up to like $20 an hour. Even like the city of Carson over here. City of Carson is not exactly a expensive area to live in. It's not considered a super high class area, and they bumped their driver pay up to like $17, $19 an hour. They used to only pay like $15 an hour for a bus driver. So companies are realizing that the price of living is getting higher. People need to work, and if they know that they can live better, they're going to stay at that company. And Greyhound just happened to be one of those companies that they're union. So you get plenty of benefits. You get that health that a lot of people want. You get that dental a lot of people want, and the pay is becoming more and more competitive. You can easily, like I said, you start at like around 20-40 an hour, and within just a few years, you can be making $27 an hour. There aren't too many jobs. You're going to start off, with, just starting off as an entry level, and you're making 20-40 an hour and going up to 27 an hour in just a few years. So it gets harder and harder. So that's appealing to a lot of inner city, a lot of urban people, obviously, and I think just a lot of, in my opinion, I just think a lot of white people, or a lot of Caucasian, a lot of people who may come from more means, just don't think of those kind of companies as viable when it comes to a long-term living. Now, like I said, I've seen plenty of Caucasian drivers. I've seen plenty of Hispanic drivers. So I wouldn't say that they don't exist. They're there, I would definitely, it's not Greyhound's practice to discriminate by race. That's ridiculous. We've got, especially in management, we got plenty of management that are Caucasian. We got plenty of uppers and Caucasian. The majority of the maintenance guys actually that work in Los Angeles are Caucasian, and I don't think they're making much more than your average driver. So it really depends, if if you're a driver in Tennessee, I'm sure the majority of you are going to be white, and very few of you are going to be black. So, I don't think that's a thing. I don't think anybody's had to worry to think that I'm Hispanic, or I'm whatever, and I'm not going to get hired because of my race. That's just ridiculous. So I think there was more to it. I think that person had some sort of issue. Maybe they had an attitude. God knows what. Because I thought that, and personally, if your driving record is good and you have a positive attitude and you have good work ethic, you're good at customer service, you're a safe driver, I don't see them turning away too many people, if you meet those basic qualifications, So, yeah, that's my opinion. I'm pretty sure the company shares a similar opinion when it comes to hiring. So yeah, I think that's how that goes. So yeah, keep sending these awesome questions. I love answering them. This was a really good one, and hopefully I get to show you guys some more. More buses, more operations, whatever, when I get the chance. So I'll talk to you guys later. Yeah.